Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At Healthspan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India. And our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements because that's the Healthspan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free!
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
Hello and welcome back to our final sessions of the British National Diving Cup of 2022. Our last finals of the weekend will see the women's 3-metre final and the men's 10-metre platform. So we have 10 females competing in the women's 3-metre final. Of course, it is the top 8 British divers with 2 guests. We're just about to get our finalist parade now, so we will be able to see our start list. So starting in first place for our final is Emily Bearpark of Edinburgh Diving Club. Our second finalist from City of Leeds Diving Club is Callie Eagleston. Start 3 from my hometown club in Sheffield, Yasmin Harper, of course, good friend of mine. Start number 4 from City of Leeds in her first ever British Senior Nationals, Elizabeth Powley. Of course, the experienced Grace Reed from Dive London Aquatics Club. Her teammate Deshaun Ben Ashmel also representing Dive London Aquatics Club. Claire Cryan, the first of our guests, represents Ireland. Of course, she does train at the Sheffield Diving Club as well. A very impressive young diver from Luton, Amy Rollinson, comes in at 8. Our top British qualifier, Catherine Torrance from City of Leeds, and our top qualifier from the prelim. A very impressive list from Lauren Haraselko. She trains in Southampton and represents Finland. So, taking us through this final today, we have our expert Jack Law back in the studio. Thanks for joining us again, Jack.
Expert.
Expert.
I like that. Thank you. Yeah, no, glad to be back. Looking forward to a good final, hopefully, with some really good diving earlier, and I hope the girls can carry that through this afternoon.
Yeah, like you said, we did see some very high-scoring dives this morning. I mean, a women's 3-metre prelim, getting over 300 was generally seen as a good score. We did see that this morning in the prelim. I think our top qualifier, Lauren, got 311. Catherine second with 285 as well. So some steady scores there. What score do you think we'll be looking for to take the gold medal today?
Well, I mean, like you said, over 300 is a fantastic score. That's probably going to get you around about a world final, really. And I think that the girls are probably going to be looking towards that. I'd love to see a few of them go over it. Lauren this morning was fantastic, cruising over that 300 mark. I think if they're, in good form this afternoon, I think we might be looking at around about 320 potentially, which I think you said earlier would put you in. I think that one of your scores earlier said about 320 was for maybe a European or
319.6 was the European bronze medal last year, and that was Emma Goldstrand who actually competed at this event last year, so obviously quite familiar. We did have a guest winner last year, Chiara Pellicani from Italy. She got 318. Our British winner, Maria Papworth-Burrell, obviously not in this event, so actually quite a big miss. She's now studying over in America, so bit of a shame that she's not here. A synchro partner from last year, Scarlett Mew-Jensen, also missing out on this final due to a shoulder injury that caused her to pull out of our prelim this morning. So another big name that's missing, but we've got some fantastic divers in this event this afternoon, so I still expect to see some very high-scoring dives. So as this morning's prelim, we have 5 dives from the girls. Each diver has to cover all 5 directions, so that's forward, back, reverse, inward and twist. I'm sure you've probably got familiar with that over the weekend, but just to remind you, each dive will be given a degree of difficulty rating, which then gets times by the judges' scores to give a total score. So our lists, I think they range from around a 2.5 to a 3.1, if I am correct. The lowest degree of difficulty dive in the competition is a forward 2.5 somersaults. Sorry, no, that's incorrect. A forward 1.5 somersaults with 2 twists, and the highest degree of difficulty is a forward 3.5. So, see a bit of a range of degree of difficulty, and also that means the execution marks probably slightly more important for those lower degree of difficulty dives.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely said it all earlier, but when you are doing those lower degree difficulty dives, it's extremely important that you are hitting them, because being timed by the judges' scores by a lower score obviously means that you're going to go a lower overall score, which is obviously seems fairly obvious, but it's worth saying that those easier dives are really important to get right.
Yeah, so our first diver this afternoon, Emily Bear Park, currently diving in Edinburgh, formerly of the City of Leeds, up in Edinburgh studying into her 3rd year at university now. She's going to kick us off with an in-between off somersaults tuck, 2.7 degree of difficulty. We're going to see this dive in the pike shape as well this round, so that adds an extra 0.3 in the difficulty. And another lovely start again from Emily.
Yeah, she was so consistent this morning. Her first 3 dives, pretty much all scoring about 50.5 to 51. A slight improvement from this morning. I think 2 points more than she got on her first dive. So, I really like Emily's diving. She's struggled over the past couple of years with some things, but it's really nice to see her back to her consistent ways again.
Absolutely. Another Leeds diver. Obviously, Emily's now moved up to Edinburgh. Callie from City of Leeds Diving Club doing the same dive. And very nicely performed again from Callie. Great pike out. Again, lovely form. Just rolled slightly over from vertical. Needing to snap out of that pike shape and get those hips in line with the rest of her body slightly early, just to stop that rotation. But getting into that competition, hopefully settle the nerves and take on the next 4 dives. Yasmin Harper, maybe slightly surprised to see her a little bit lower down the rankings in the prelim this morning, but with a restart on her reverse 2.5 somersaults pike, that just dropped her down the rankings slightly. So she kicks off with a standing back 2.5 somersaults pike. It's a nice dive from Yasmin.
It's a nice dive, nice form throughout. She's just caught the water on her shoulders a little bit there. Looks like she hasn't quite extended back enough. There's a variety of reasons that could be the reason for, but she's done it, and the judges have scored her accordingly.
Yeah, 54 points. It's not a drop. It's probably not as hit as she would have liked, but it's going to keep her within the pack. And then a few hits later on in her list, hopefully we'll see her up near the medals. Elizabeth Powley, we've already mentioned, her first senior nationals. She's done very well to get into this final after not competing for 2 years. I think she's been struggling with a shoulder injury recently, so only just got back to training, and to get through to a senior national final was a great achievement for her at 17 years old.
Yeah, she looks pumped as well. Strong out the board. Really good to see her in a final. I think it's going to do so much for her confidence moving forward.
Yeah, you said that this morning. She's very strong, but also clean entries as well on the water, which is a great combination to have. Grace Reed with an in-between half somersaults pike. And a good start from Grace.
That's more like it, that's more like it. This morning she seemed to struggle a little bit, I think, throughout, it's safe to say. But that's a really nice start for her, and a dive that she found hard for the past couple of years, but it looks quite easy now, and really, really glad to see that going so smoothly.
She got 54 points on that this morning, so 6s to count from the judges. This time 7s to count, so a good improvement. I'm sure if she can keep that improvement throughout her list, we'll see a much higher score from her. Deshawn started off this dive very nicely this morning. She got 64.5 on it. She is very strong on these standing takeoffs.
That pike shape is absolutely flat as well. She has got pretty much her head on her knees when she's spinning around there, and that's why the judges' scores are so high. A beautiful end as well. Yeah,
absolutely. We've currently not been able to get the scores on the screen for you, so I'll try and talk you through them as much as we can. She got 69 points there. Couple of 8s in there.
Really good start.
Yeah, very good start. 69 points. Anything around that 70 mark, I think the girls will be very, very happy with through a dive. Claire was very impressive again this morning. She's got lovely entries into the water. Sometimes she just gets to these finals, and when the pressure's on a little bit, finds it difficult, but hopefully just rolls over slightly again. Yeah, I saw her doing this in training about 10 minutes ago, and I would have given it an 8+. It was absolutely beautiful. So it's a big shame.
A little bit pumped.
Yeah.
I always feel it in a final when I'm competing. I always feel a little bit more. My body feels like it's flowing a little bit easier, and
just make the dive slightly easier. You've got to adapt to that.
Yeah.
Amy, we were very impressed with Amy this morning, and throughout the weekend she's showed us what she was made of on the 1 metre. And very strong. She jumped so high on that dive.
Yeah, unbelievable height out of the actual board. When she's doing her arm swing, it doesn't look like it. It actually looks quite dainty and quite nice and quite relaxed, and then all of a sudden this massive ping out the board. Lovely flat shape.
Yeah, she got an 8 in there. Not to count from the judges, but strong 66 points there. So
it's a great start.
Very good start. So our top British ranked diver from the prelim, Catherine Torrance, she starts off with a 14 off somersaults 1 twist. We see quite a lot of our girls finish with this dive. Catherine's chosen to start with it.
Just a little bit short of vertical there, unfortunately. Just caught the water a little bit short. Good top though. I liked out the board.
She was very strong in hers. As we said this morning, she is known for having great board timing, very strong hurdle steps. Just, I don't know, maybe got a little bit apprehensive. Tried to line up her hands a little bit early there. So Lauren represents Finland internationally. Trains in Southampton. We were really impressed with her this morning, as on the 1 metre. And again, similar, not quite as nice as this morning, I don't think. She got 61.5 on that this morning. This afternoon, she's going to get 54 points, as you can see there. So, after the first round of dives, I'm not sure we're going to be able to see the results just yet, but I can tell you in the top spot is Deshawn with 69 points. 3 points behind is Amy with 66 points, and in third position currently is Grace Reed with 63. Yasmin a little bit further behind the pace with 9 points behind Grace, so those middle positions just stretching a little bit of a lead on the rest of the pack. Emily with a 2.4, forward 2.5 somersaults pike. And a very nice dive from Emily again. One of her most simple dives, but executed beautifully there.
Really, really nice. Very nice to watch, and I think that's probably fairly similar to how she went this morning.
Yeah, again, excellent entry, great shape, chest flat on those legs in that pike shape. Callie, following with the same dive. And another very similar dive.
Yeah, I always find it quite difficult when you follow someone that does a good dive,
Yeah.
the exact same one that you were about to do. But Callie hasn't let it get to her at all. She's done a really good dive there. It's very nice.
I think it can also be difficult for the judges as well, because you start comparing the two and maybe doubting yourself on whether you should give these extra marks to the second diver. So, yeah, that is a challenge for the judges.
Can sometimes work in your favour. Sometimes if they go with the first one and then the second one's better, they have the only option is to go higher. But yeah.
Yasmin Harper with her forward 2.5 somersault swan twist. And full out. And a lovely dive from Yasmin. Had a bit of trouble with her hurdle steps this morning, but that one was slightly back off the end still, I think, so she had to just push it a bit further forward into the water. That's the reason why the judges have only gone with a 6.5 and 7s rather than any higher. But in the air, all the work was very nice and a good entry on the water too. Next up, Elizabeth with her inward 2.5 somersaults pike. Very nice.
She's cruised that.
Wow.
Yeah, she's made that very easily.
Yeah.
Like I said, she's very strong. You know, she's still a junior.
That's slightly harsh on the judges. Do you think maybe the 6 is just for the double bounce on the board?
Maybe, potentially, yeah. I think
that
the pike shape could do with a little bit of work as well. Maybe a little bit far from the chest, from the legs. But do you know what? I am really impressed with the spin speed that she can generate out the board.
Yeah, she made that dive with ease and a good finish as well. That's better than this morning from Grace. Had a little bit of trouble with this dive this morning. About 55.8, so not quite up to a normal stand. It wasn't really a drop this morning, more of just she had a bit of a bad hurdle, I think, but made the most of it. This time up to 65, so 10-point improvement. Deshawn, this was the dive that she dropped this morning in her list. Generally pretty steady throughout. Just this one for 37 points, or slightly lower. And that's going to be much higher.
Yeah, a lot better than this morning. She got a bit of a dodgy hurdle this morning and seemed to kind of roll it in, but I quite like that. Lovely pike shape again. Just doesn't look as confident as she does on inward 2.5 pike coming out of that one, but I don't know how long she's been doing that dive for, but I believe that she's so strong that she will definitely get that dive down one day.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, a big improvement, another 20 points extra from this morning. So up to 126 points, which after 2 dives, average of 63 is very steady for Deshawn. Claire Crown with a third forward 3.5 somersaults pike we're going to see in a row. 3.1 degree of difficulty this dive. And not quite there for Claire again. This morning, this dive was pretty steady. You can just hear quite loud on the board, which means she can't get all the lift.
She mistimed that hurdle step a little bit there, and that means the depression of the board and the height that she'll generate out of it is severely cut, and that's why I think she just struggled to make that dive a little bit. But
yeah, it's not really the dive that the girls want the bad hurdle step on, is it? So Amy with our 4th one. A lot of the girls choosing to do this dive in this round. And you can see it is the hardest dive in this competition for a reason. 3.1 degree of difficulty. It's a lot of rotations for the girls to get in with the straight legs. Amy just dropping it slightly as well. So a few drops in this round might leave it open for the medals to be more contested by a few more athletes. Catherine's newest addition to her list in the 2.5 somersaults pike.
Not bad at all. She got her hips over nicely on that. I was a bit scared she might be a bit nervous and she might push it back, but
Yeah, she stayed brave, kept her chest over the board,
Yeah.
didn't she? Which, as we mentioned quite a few times this morning, that's the danger with this dive. Those feet obviously can come quite close if you stay too upright on that board, so it's a very strange trade-off between jumping too far back and trying to stay too upright. Lauren with a forward 3.5 pike. Wasn't the best hurdle,
no,
but
really,
again,
I was very scared that was going to go not as good as it did.
again, Lauren being impressive throughout the whole weekend, and it's quite a skill to be able to recover from a bad takeoff, and especially when you're doing a harder dive like that. Very well saved from Lauren.
I find it's very easy when you do a bad hurdle to change things, to tense up, to tend to put your head down or try even harder than you need to, and things can go very wildly wrong very quickly in springboard diving. But she's done a really good job to keep her focus and maintain and actually make a good dive out of something which, to be honest with you, was a terrible hurdle step for her. And the quality that she's shown this week has just been astounding.
This dive was also nice for Emily this morning. And again, very neat and tidy, nice tight tuck shape. I'm sure the judges will reward her for that. Again, maybe could just finish the dive a little bit higher just to give the judges a bit more of a wow factor on the reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck. Our standings after 3 rounds. Grace Reed was in first place, Deshawn in second, and Yasmin in third. So medals have switched up a little bit. Oh, very nice from Callie.
Really nice from Callie. I think she's got 3 new dives in her list, so I can imagine she's probably feeling a little bit nervous, but her diving is really not showing that. Some beautiful dives so far.
Yeah, good work from Kelly. I mean, since I last saw her a couple of years ago, her body shape has changed a lot. She's obviously grown. She was only a very small, young junior girl when she was first doing this event. So, obviously, when your body is changing on the springboard, it takes a lot of getting used to. Yasmin Harper with her 3.1, forward 3.5 somersaults pike.
Very stampy again, another stampy hurdle.
Yeah, that's not the first time we've seen that from the girls. Again, forward 3.5 somersaults pike, causing quite a few of them a few problems today. So, staying with the hurdle dives, but this time we're spinning with a backward rotation. Elizabeth Powley with reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck.
Oh,
The hurdle causing the problems.
Yeah.
It's a real shame there for Elizabeth.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of problems with the hurdle step this afternoon by a few of the girls. Unfortunately, all the toes over the end of the board there, and it's very hard to push down when you've got no toes to push into. And on reverse, you need to push down into that board to generate the height, otherwise it's just going forwards. And unfortunately, when it goes forwards, the somersault dies, and it becomes very difficult to make.
So Grace with the same dive, this time in the pike position. Oh, a mixed bag from the girls so far. So Grace, again, I think she just slightly split her feet on the hurdle step there. Sounded quite nice, and was nice and quiet on the board, but still got plenty of height, and didn't quite finish it off as we are used to seeing Grace doing. So Deshawn, currently in second place. She has an opportunity to get to the top spot now. 57 points will take her over Grace Reed, who's currently in the top spot. Yasmin Harper, slightly behind that, 21 points behind Grace. It's going to be close.
She'd be very clever there, I must say. That landed quite short, but she's somehow miraculously managed to keep the splash down.
Yeah.
Good water work, and I think she's definitely gotten away with it. Great top though, great spin speed, lovely pike shape. Just a little bit early on the come out, and you know that's okay. She's done a great job out of it, so not bad.
Yeah, 52.5 points for Deshawn there, so didn't quite get up to Grace's score. She's now 4.75 points behind her. Claire Cryan, this morning, very impressive prelim. So far this afternoon, not being quite up to her standards. And this morning, this dive was beautiful. She absolutely disappeared on the entry. But she scored 7 halves and 8s in there this morning, 63 points on a 2.8. Very impressive. So it's a real shame for Claire to drop it in the final.
Diving's such a crazy sport, how in the morning you can do it really well or really bad, and just in the afternoon, a couple of hours later, it can be the complete opposite.
I mean, 10 minutes before the event, I was seeing her do these dives, and they were very good. So the nerves just play such a massive part. Oh,
That is so high.
So high.
I love watching that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be long before that's going to be in the pike position either, is it? Makes that with ease, kicks her feet out. Slightly more left in the rip entry, I think. But other than that, I don't think there's much we can fault that for. Another lovely dive. So Catherine Torrance, currently a little bit down the pike. I expect to see her up towards the medals. Obviously a very experienced diver.
Really important dive for her here. If she wants to stay in it, I think. Just short again.
I like the top as well. I thought it was all there. Really, really.
It's a real shame, that one.
Just missing out on those entries. So this was probably the dive of the prelim this morning. Lauren with a back 2.5 somersaults pike. Scored 7.5s from the judges to count, which I think if she does the exact same dive this afternoon, we might see higher scores. Not quite the same as this morning. Still very nice.
Yeah, she's just arched slightly too much on the end there for me. I actually think the 5.5 is slightly harsh. I think she kept the water down nicely, and I like her form throughout the dive. And some girls can struggle with that dive a little bit, but she really doesn't, and I really enjoyed watching that. Maybe a little bit over, but good diving.
So now we have got the rankings after 3 rounds. You can see Grace Reed up in the top spot, 183. Sean just behind her, and Amy. Obviously both of those girls won the synchro event yesterday, so great for them to be showing their individual scores as well. Of course, Yasmin will be looking to chase her in our 3rd place, ignoring Lauren, who is currently 4th overall, but representing Finland as our guest in the event. So round 4, Emily, this was her one slight mistake this morning. Back to some sorts took. And it's slightly better this morning.
She's learned from her mistakes. It's actually a very similar start to this morning, but instead of kicking early, she's kicked right upright. Unfortunately carried rotating a little bit, but it's okay. A lot better than this morning.
Yeah, like you said, this morning she did very similar on the start. She's learnt from that, put her feet up towards the ceiling, and then lined it up. Now this was impressive from Kai this morning. You said it's one of her newest dives. There's 2.5 somersaults pike.
Whoa!
And again.
With the feet over the end as well. Not a good hurdle step by Callie there, you can see. But actually, what an amazing dive that is.
She's got great action of getting those arms wrapped around the back of those legs and spins beautifully in that pike shape.
It was travelling forward, there's quite a distance forwards. That's why the judges have maybe penalised her a little bit more than if it were to have been a little bit closer. But with feet over the end of the board, you can't really ask for any more than that.
Yeah, 6s to count there from the judges, so 54 points. I'm sure she'll be very happy with that. Yasmin Harper, currently just outside the medal positions, in between 2.5 somersaults pike. 3.0 opportunity to get herself back in those medals. And she's taken it, I think.
Superb dive. Interesting feet split on the start there. I didn't notice that this morning. I wanted to see it again, but she is absolutely smashed out of the park. What a beautiful dive that was.
That's more like it for Yaz. I'm really happy for her there, because I know this is probably the dive in her list that is her least favourite dive as well. So far, highest scoring dive of her event, 66 points. Great diving, Yaz. Elizabeth Powley, forward 3.5 somersaults tuck. Slight error on her hurdle step in the last round made her dive very difficult. That's a bit more like it.
Yeah. Sometimes what you'll find is that sometimes something will go wrong in one dive and someone will try and overcompensate the next time. So often you'd see someone land over the end on one dive, next dive they'll be way back. But actually she's still gone for it, she's attacked it, she hasn't held back anything, and that's really, really good from
Yeah, it
Powley.
shows a great amount of bravery to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think, like you said, just making sure you stay on the board sometimes can be more of a focus than attacking the hurdle. Grace Reed, our current leader. Back 2.5 somersaults pike. Very nice again from Grace.
Yeah, a good dive overall. One that she has struggled with in the past a little bit, but she makes that quite comfortably. And we are early in the season, though. You forget, it seems like it's do or die right now, but it's only February. You know, we've still got a long time until the end of the season, and plenty of time to work on these dives. So if you're doing a good competition, nice and steady and consistent, that's something really to cherish and to hold and move forward with for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of events coming up this year, so this isn't going to be the aim to be the peak performance for some of these divers, but of course they want to put on a good show. Deshawn with the reverse 2.5 somersaults pike.
Yeah, it's a big shame, that one. I actually quite like the start, but it just looked like she came out just a little bit early, wasn't quite sure she was in the right place and just dropped her feet.
Yeah, real shame for Deshawn, because she has shown a lot of promise this weekend. She just dropped that slightly short of vertical, so a little bit down on her score from this morning. Claire Cryan, reverse 2.5 somersaults, this time in the tuck position. That's more like it from Claire.
Yeah, obviously things aren't going her way in this competition so far, but it's always really good that you can get at least one good dive out there, and it's a beautiful end. Slightly short, but a really, really nice finish. Lovely entry into the water.
Yeah, she does have a great rip entry, Claire, so even though she's short of vertical there, she just keeps all that water down. It's great to see. Amy currently in third place. Yasmin's just done a very nice in 2.5 somersaults pike, so puts the pressure on Amy a little bit in third bronze place position. But again, a very nice dive from Amy as well.
Lovely. I love this save here on the water. That really quick pike as soon as she hits the water, keeps the splash down. For me, again, not the best hurdle step, but she's strong enough to make that dive with quite a lot of comfort.
Yep, 63 points for Amy there. 7s to count from the judges, so puts her up to 232.9. Catherine Torrens, reverse 2.5 somersaults pike. This is probably her most renowned dive. She's generally executes it very well. This morning got 61.5.
Oh, she's so pumped. Her hurdle steps are unbelievable this afternoon. That timing is amazing. And I think that she's actually probably finishing slightly higher than she usually would, and she's just panicking that little bit on the end. It's such a shame because that top is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, real shame for Catherine there. She's down in 5th place at the moment. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. She might rely on other divers to drop in the last round. Oh, the first real drop we've seen from Lauren all day. Comes on her easiest dive as well, the reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck. 2.8 degree of difficulty. She was so consistent throughout this morning. Finished up with a score of 311, so going to struggle to get up near those marks. We should have our rankings coming up again. So it's a little bit of a change up at the top. Yasmin Harper now in the bronze position, 228. Grace Reed still in that gold medal position, so still all to play for, especially fighting out for those medal positions. Emily's going to finish up her list with a forward 1.5 somersaults 2 twist. Only diver that performs this dive this afternoon. 2.5 degree of difficulty, a little bit down on the forward 2.5 with 1 twist. But again, very nicely executed.
Yeah, it's always nice seeing a bit of variety as well. You know, obviously, not quite as difficult as a forward 2.5 somersaults with one twist, but still a very elegant dive. And I always think it's nice seeing something that not everyone does.
Yeah, it's a nice dive to watch. It really is a dive that accentuates people's class. So very nicely done there. Callie with the forward 2.5 somersaults, one twist we just mentioned. 3.0 this one. Slightly better than this morning. Again, we mentioned this morning her flick time is a little bit late, which just means when you repike, you're already maybe rotating slightly too much. So definitely an improvement on this morning.
Yeah, I think she'll be really happy with that performance overall. Some newer dives in there. She's working the front 3.5 at home, so you know she's getting better, and that performance was overall really consistent. But I think she'll take home some changes. Maybe that she can look at for this year, and I think that'll be one of the big ones. Will be that flick time and a full out.
So Yasmin currently in third place. This dive did cause her a few problems this morning. Much better hurdle. That's more like it. Just missed that end.
Yeah.
All the way throughout the dive looked good.
Similar to her first dive, the back 2.5 pike, just almost caught her shoulders on the water as she went through, just preventing her to get that really clean end that she got yesterday in the synchronised event.
But 285, not a bad score at all. She scored 271 at this event 2 years ago, so 14-point improvement on that. Elizabeth with her forward 2.5 somersaults, one twist to finish. And a nice finish from Elizabeth.
Yeah, a really good finish, and she'd be really happy to just be in this final. You know, this is her first senior nationals, and she's come here and made a final. And although, you know, one of her dives didn't quite go to plan, she should be really proud of herself and hold her head up very high. There's a great diver and a great prospect for British diving.
Yeah, exactly. Not competing in 2 years for her. It takes a lot of practice to get yourself back in those competition routines. So under the pressure, she's done really well to make this final this Sunday afternoon. Beautiful from Grace.
Yeah, it's her baby. That dive, she loves it. It's perfect technique, beautiful to watch. There's no, you know, her feet don't come apart at all. And I've heard wind that she's going to be doing a double out as well soon, so that's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Adding another twist to that adds an extra 0.4 to her degree of difficulty as well. So if she can perform it any sort of standard as she does the full out, it's going to be a big scorer for her. Deshawn's going to follow with the same dive. She's currently in 4th position, 5 points behind Yasmin. Oh, and that's going to be tight.
It is going to be tight.
Very nice start.
Yeah, she's such a strong diver. And I think she just got a little bit too many beans on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah. Everything was right until she just panicked a little bit on that end. She was a little bit fast, but it's just left her 3 points behind Yasmin. So, assuming Amy hits her last dive, then she might just miss out on the medals.
That comes with experience, though. She'll get a few more competitions under her belt and learn to potentially control that amazing quality that she has in her strength.
Good dive to finish up from Claire. Not quite had the event that she may have hoped to, but she's got a big year up and coming, hoping to qualify for some events for Ireland. So getting back into the swing of competitions this year. Finishes up with a nice 60-pointer. So Amy needs 56 points, I believe, to take Yasmin's second spot. Oh. I think it might just get there, might just pip Yasmin.
Yeah, a good dive. Amazing dive yesterday that she synchronised with Deshawn.
Yeah.
It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I've been very impressed with her. She's a very strong girl. Obviously, was still competing in the junior competitions last year, so may now be time for her to try and step up and put some pressure on some of the more experienced girls, which I'm sure her performances this weekend definitely may have done. So our penultimate dive of the whole competition, Catherine Torrens. Not quite had the competition we would have liked her to have. And that's what she can do.
Do you know what? Catherine's had an unbelievable amount of pressure put on her coming into this competition. She's had her funding put on the line with an ultimatum, and I think
It's not nice for
you
anyone.
can
as
see how
see.
upset she is.
Yeah.
She hasn't had the competition she wanted, but finishing on a good dive there, and there's so much pressure coming into this competition for her, and she might not have done it the way she wanted to, but I'm really proud of her.
Yeah. Takes some guts to finish up with a dive like that. Lauren as well, finishing up with a lovely 14.5 somersault swan twist. Again, her prelim this morning with a 311.4 score was a great prelim. She's not quite matched that this afternoon, but she has definitely shown what she's made of this weekend. So our results just coming up on the screen. Concluded our medals there. Grace Reed takes the gold, Amy in second and Yasmin in third. So Grace with a score of 312. Again, we mentioned that score of over 300. It's probably what the girls are aiming for at this point in the season. We've got the Commonwealth Games coming up, of course. We've got some strong nations in the Commonwealth for the females, though.
Yeah, the Commonwealth Games is such a strange one. For women, you got Malaysia, the Australians, the Canadians, which unfortunately are ridiculously good nations in women's diving. The men's side of diving, not so much. In Europe, it's a flip.
Yeah.
And the Europeans, the men's Russians, the Ukrainians, the Germans, and Italians are usually really, really good. And in previous years, not been so good for women, but they have started getting better. And women's diving at the moment is really competitive.
Absolutely. So we'll wrap things up for the women's 3 metre. I think we're going to have to say goodbye to Jack. Thank you very much for joining us up in the studio today.
It's been a pleasure.
So we'll be back at 5 to 3 for the final of the men's 10 metre platform. So I hope to see you very soon.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At Healthspan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India, and our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements because that's the Healthspan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.
Final event of the British National Diving Cup of 2022. We're going to finish up with the men's 10-metre final. We're missing a few big names in there today, notably Matt Dixon, who was the champion of this event 2 years ago. Obviously Tom Daly, Matty Lee, Roman also missing in there. But nevertheless, we've got some very strong competition. Our first diver, Maxwell Spencer from Dive London. Second diver from Edinburgh, Angus Menure. I've been corrected with how I should pronounce his name as well, so I'm glad that I asked him. From Dive London, Kyle Katari, bit of a character. His partner from Dive London, Ben Cutmore. Looks like the boys are all enjoying themselves for this final, which is always a positive. Ewan McCabe starting in 5th place, and our top qualifier with a huge score of 5:30.7 this morning, Noah Williams. So, joining you for this final with me, Jack Haslam, is our guest from Jamaica, Yona Night Wisdom. Thanks for joining us again, Yona.
Thanks for having me back. Hopefully I did a good job first time round, so
yeah,
have a good event to watch again.
I definitely think you did. So I think we are actually going to run Yona's dives from his 3-metre event. So would you be able to talk us through them a little bit, if that's okay, and tell us what you were happy with and not happy with?
Well, so this front 3.5 height, I'm really happy with this start actually. Maybe dropped a touch short, but I held that edge down really well. Super happy with this one. It was a really strong start to the list actually, and I'll change my list order. I put my back 2.5 height second and put my in with 3.5 fourth. So I was really happy with those first three. Now here's where it gets real difficult for me with these 3 dives, the in with 3.5, reverse 3.5 and front 4.5. And you know, it's hard because I obviously made a couple of mistakes on these 2 dives just here, which is a big shame. And
first time competing this in British Nationals.
Exactly, yeah.
You did it at the Scottish Nationals.
I did it at Scottish Nationals, I did the World Cup, and I was so happy with this. And it's still got room to improve and room to get better and get more points. But I got a good 79 points on that, which I was really, really happy with. So, you know, I scored 400 points total on my list with 2 pretty big drops in there actually. So that's really exciting. If I can hit those 2 dives and figure out how to maybe gain a few more points in my other dives, then that's a really strong list coming along. So even though I was a bit disappointed with the outcome of the event yesterday, I'm really happy with the process that I went through. I'm really happy with the way I went about it, and it's really, really exciting for the rest of this year. You know, we got the World Championships, we got the Commonwealth Games. There's going to be improvement as the year goes on, so we'll see what happens, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, you've got the hopefully the World Championships, Commonwealth Games this year. Have you got any Grand Prix in line? I know you sometimes try and sneak some of those into your schedule.
Yeah, I don't know what Grand Prix is going to go ahead, because there was supposed to be one in Canada in June, which is now about when the rescheduled World Championships is supposed to take place. So don't know if that's still going to go ahead. Don't know if they're going to reschedule it for a different time. I've got to wait for FINA to come out with the schedule, and we'll go from there.
Great, so thanks for that, a little bit of information, Jonas. So onto the 10 metre. Obviously Noah was unbelievable this morning.
Outstanding list from Noah this morning, outstanding. I was very, very, very impressed.
Yeah, 5:30, which I believe is a PB for him as well. So a massive performance in a prelim. It's going to be hard to back that up really in a final, isn't it? It almost puts extra pressure on yourself.
Well, it was really impressive in the fact that there was only 7 divers in the prelim, and it's very easy to take it easy when you know that you're going to make it through to the final. Then you get the adrenaline in the final where you can do a really good performance. So for Noah to come out in a prelim where he didn't necessarily need to do anything in particular to make it through and hit a 5:30, that's super impressive. Or on the flip side, maybe it was just pressure off, so he could just dive freely and just let his talent take him through.
Yeah, he's really improved his consistency over the last couple of years. I know he was actually a World Series champion last year, which is a massive achievement. Obviously, some of the best nations in the world compete at that event, so that was a great achievement for him.
And of course, he had a slightly difficult Olympic Games, so it's really good to see him bounce back from that and grab the bull by the horns and really show his quality, work hard, and put himself in a good position for the rest of this year.
Yeah, Ewan McCabe as well finished in the second spot. Only born in 2005, and he's already doing that list on 10 metre. I've been informed he's also working on front 4.5 as well, which he's done. Not competing that today, I don't believe. So our first dive up this morning is this morning. It's been a long weekend. First dive up in our final is Maxwell Spencer from Dive London.
I'm really hoping to see any cobwebs shaken off, any shackles taken off, and the divers just letting themselves go free, enjoying the competition, which I think they showed in their parade, where they're having a bit of fun and a bit of a laugh, and just dive and just show some really outstanding diving. This is the most exciting event, of course, the men's 10 metre. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I believe Maxwell had COVID as recently as 3 weeks and was quite ill with it, so probably not the ideal preparation for him coming into this event. Gives him an extra challenge, but he's starting off his routine with a forward 3.5 somersaults pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty. And it's a lot of dive to fit in. You've got to squeeze that shape a little bit tighter to make sure he gets all those rotations in. Just doesn't quite get all the way out of his shape.
Well, I noticed yesterday, whilst we were getting ready to parade for the men's 3 metre, that Maxwell's actually a bit taller than me.
Yeah.
He's a big lad, he's tall. So fair play to him for getting these dives done at that size.
Yeah, absolutely. When you've got legs as long as you guys.
Oh, it's not easy.
Spinning them around 3.5 times is it's obviously not going to be as fast as some of the guys with the shorter statures.
Particularly on the platform as well, where the board gives you nothing. At least on Springboard, it gives you a bit of help. You can get a bit of extra high platform. It's all your power.
Yeah. Angus Menio from Edinburgh. Forward 2.5 somersaults, 1 twist. Oh, that's a shame from Angus. He's got great rip entry and good form, Angus, hasn't he? I like watching his diving. It's entertaining. Unfortunately, just over-pumped that one. Maybe a bit of extra adrenaline for the final.
Exactly that. And Angus is obviously trying to aim to hit his Commonwealth points for Team Scotland, so maybe that's in the back of his mind. And just pushed it a little bit too hard in that start.
So Kyle been returning to training after very serious injuries he's sustained, rupturing 2 Achilles, separate Achilles on separate occasions as well. So it's been a real challenge for him. Starts off with a arm stand forward somersault in the pike position, only 1.9. So very low down in the degree of difficulty. Very important that we see the high scores, but there we go. Get our first 9.5 of the competition.
Now, normally Kyle will be using the arm stand back double somersaults with 2.5 twists, but he said he had some issues with it here in the last couple of days. That's why he switched to the arm stand somersault, which isn't ideal, but well played to him, managing it as well as possible, executing a good arm stand somersault, and setting himself up well for the competition. Yeah,
he mentioned about his training's not been quite up to what he would have wanted. He only did 2 front 4.5s before coming down to Plymouth for the Nationals, but then he went and did it for 96 points in the prelim. So
that's talent right there, isn't it?
Yeah. Ben Cutmore with an in with 3.5 somersaults took to start. 3.2 degree of difficulty. Great start for him.
Much better opener from the prelim as well, so that's a really good improvement. He should be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, dropped this slightly for 52.8 points this morning, so 24-point improvement on that. Quite a big jump up. Ewan McCabe. Starts off with a back 2.5 somersaults with 1.5 twists. Such a strong diver. Still only a junior, only 16 years old. So easy for him.
and he has a really nice rip as well. So he just needs to tidy some elements up, make sure he gets that vertical entry, and if he can put a rip like that on a upright end, then he's getting big points.
Yeah, he makes all these dives with ease. Maybe a little bit more toe form sometimes, just to impress those judges to get up to those 9 marks.
Yeah.
But his diving has been very impressive, and like I say, such a young age, doing some of these massive dives. Got plenty of time to work on them. So, our leader from the prelims, Noah Williams, starts off with the same dive with an extra twist. And again, beautiful dive from Noah.
It's really good. This is one of his favourite dives, clearly. That's why he opens with it. Such a good twister, so efficient in his twisting movements. Maybe a bit too efficient, because obviously he rolled over a little bit there. I think there's potential to add an extra twist in that dive.
That would be impressive. 3.6 degree of difficulty on that dive with an extra twist.
Bumps you up to 4.1.
Only the 4.1.
It's a big one, that, isn't it?
But when you're scoring 88 points on it, I don't think there's that much
True.
not much pressure on him to change that. Great start. So you had your rankings there. Ben currently in 2nd spot. You were in 3rd. Back now to Maxwell. Mentioned his training hasn't been quite the preparation he would have liked, which sometimes can take it out of you, make some of these dives quite hard to make. But back to 2.5 somersaults pike, 2.9, an easy one in his list. And it's better from Maxwell, much better.
You know, that situation also gives you a really clear picture of where you are as well. Once you've not been able to train and you have to get back into this kind of environment, it will show where you're comfortable and where you're not comfortable. And it will give you a real clear indication of what you need to work on when you get back to training.
So 6.5 to count for Maxwell. That's much more like it for him. Next diver, Angus. A real opportunity to show his form and rip entries on this dive. Quite a simple dive down at 2.4. Arm stand up forward, double somersaults pike. Of course, the arm stands, the judges want to see nice control, and that's what we want to see. Nice rip, great sound when he hits the water.
He can still rip better than that, though.
Yeah, he can, most definitely. A little bit short of vertical, the splash has just slightly been thrown up, but he does just make such a nice sound when he hits the water, like a bullet straight through the water. Another diver that's quite tall in terms of a platform diver.
Yeah, you're right. He is, but he has really a really powerful jump when he uses it, and that will help him make some of the more difficult dives hopefully very soon.
So Kyle, this morning, all the forward spinning actions were generally very, very good. He did falter a little bit on the back spin actions, so the reverse 3.5 and the back 3.5 were the ones that were just causing him a few problems. And similar to this morning, just looks a bit unconfident when he comes out of that shape.
What a jump, though.
Yeah, we saw him do this, a lead up before the event, a reverse triple on 5 metre that nearly did 3.5 down there. So just gives you an idea of how easy he makes that dive, but sometimes that can be his problem, I think.
Yeah, when you make a dive so easily, you have to then control the come out and figure out where to come out at the right time. But on the backspinning dives where you can't see the water that easily, it's then hard to judge where you are, where you need to release, how tight you need to be. It's tough, but you know, he'll take the time to build back into it, and he'll find his rhythm with that very soon.
So Ben with the same dive. This one's a 3.4 degree of difficulty. Good dive again from Ben.
Very good, very good, very good. Now Ben's grown quite a lot in the last couple of years, don't you think?
Absolutely. I mean, a couple of years ago at this event, he was still really a young boy. Now he's obviously developed, turned into a man,
and then
which brings about a lot of difficulties for some of these divers as well.
Having to figure out, you know, where your limbs are essentially.
Yeah, and also with the rip entries, when your body changes, when you're very small, it's easy to go through the water with less splash. But as you start to grow and your bones get longer, not quite sure where they are, it makes it a lot more difficult. You're in with the forward 3.5 somersaults pike. It's so easy.
Great jump off the board, really good start into that, really confident, straight up into the air.
Look how early he comes out there.
No chop down into the somersault there. Plenty of room for a 109C, if you ask me.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing him do that. Forward 4.5. Not too long ago, there weren't many divers doing that, but now seems to be loads of them doing it. Noah Williams. Another great start from him. Even better than this morning. 88 points after his first dive. Whoa. Nice again from Noah. Not quite as good as this morning. Not as sharp on his hands as he usually is.
Not quite on the end, but I thought the start and the aerial work was pretty much as good as you can get, to be honest. Just need that little bit extra patience on the lineup to get perfectly vertical and get that clean rip.
Yeah, the judges still liked it, like you said. All the aerial work was great. He got 81.6 on that this morning, slightly down there with the 76.8 this afternoon. But still in the lead there. 165 points. Ben in second, 148. Ewan in the bronze medal position, 142. Maxwell currently in fourth place. A little bit off the pace for the medals with 95 points.
You can certainly see the disparity between those with the degree of difficulty and those not quite with the degree of difficulty in the standings at the moment.
Yeah. That's a real shame for Maxwell. Just coming down in that handstand means we have a restart, so 2 points from each judge will be taken off before calculating the final score. Nerves play a massive part in these handstands. It's a great rip.
It's a beautiful rip.
It's a great rip from Maxwell. So we love to see those rip entries. Absolutely disappears through the water. A real shame for him that handstand just caused him a few problems. But as you can imagine, doing a handstand on the edge of a 10-metre board is never easy. Especially with all the adrenaline that these guys will probably have.
It's something that takes a lot of work, finding the control up to the handstand, the balance in your hands, getting your body in the right line and in the right place to be able to attack the dive. Obviously it was an easier dive, so you don't have to be as precise, but you know, he's going to be wanting to build towards those more difficult dives, so it's really important that he starts to work on his handstand a little bit more.
Angus, 205 beat. Oh. So Angus, very nice shape, just put his feet out a bit too low for how fast he was spinning.
Yeah, it was a bit too slow on the somersault speed for me there. He needs to be a bit more aggressive on that start, get the turnover so he can press out with confidence and have the rotation all the way around to his hands.
Yeah, almost looked a bit cautious on that start. I said it's not the most difficult dive for him. It's not a hard dive to make for him normally, but
no,
he just hasn't attacked that start. And then where he's put his feet, the rotation hasn't come all the way around to vertical.
It's still a relatively new dive for Angus though, so for him to get 2 opportunities to compete it, that will give him a load of experience and he can take that back into his training sessions and improve it from there.
Kyle onto the end with 3.5. Saw a 9.5 in this morning.
Oh, what an
His
end.
rip entries are just something else.
That's insane.
I mean, he's slightly short of vertical there as well, and he just disappears through the water.
This guy can land horizontal and still rip.
Yeah, his hands are just so impressive. 84.8 for him. A huge score. Got 83.2 this morning, so even better than this morning. Ben currently in second place. 2 very good dives to start with. Back armstand double somersault with 1.5 twists. We'll see this dive with an extra twist as well later on in the competition from Noah Williams. This one's 3.2. Lovely handstand.
Beautiful leg line.
Great leg line throughout the whole body. Oh. This morning was slightly similar. He just drifted over from vertical this morning. He's up right there, just misses his, slightly over from vertical, just misses his rip entry.
It looks like he wants to add an extra twist as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I think this morning we were saying that makes it so easily. That and his back twisting dive as well. It won't be too long before we see those extra twists, I don't think. So Ewing with an arm stand dive as well. This time purely with the somersaults. Back arm stand triple somersault tuck. 3.3 degree of difficulty this one, so just 0.1 more than the twisting dive we've seen from Ben. Judges might want to see a little bit more leg form, show that toe point off in that handstand, that's more like it. Great dive again from Ewan. He's so impressive up there on the 10 metre.
He's got really good awareness of where he is. Again, just slightly over from vertical, but that'll come with a little bit more experience in the control, and once he gets that upright line, then he'll have no problem in getting a nice rip and slightly higher points.
I'm sure he'll be pretty happy with that. Takes him above Ben now into second spot. Of course, Noah, our leader after the prelim, and also our leader after the first 2 rounds. A huge score of 165. Now onto his 3.6s. Oh, it's the first drop we've seen from Noah today.
First mistake of the day.
I mean, 9th dive in. It's been very impressive so far. And we also mentioned his consistency improvement over the last couple of years. That one just dropping short of vertical, so not getting the scores that we've seen from him in the first 2 rounds. So it's now very close at the top.
It's an exciting battle that we've got for the medals right here.
Only 7 points between first and third. Kyle clawing some ground back on the top 3 as well.
Kyle has every chance of working his way back in there as well, with his extra degree of difficulty coming in the later rounds.
Yeah, we see Kyle doing a back 3.5 in this round, so that's his other more risky dive. Not quite as high in the degree of difficulty as the last 2, but they generally are more consistent for him. And Maxwell with inward 3.5 some sorts took. This one was the dive that he struggled with a bit this morning.
It's a tough dive for a big man.
Yeah, it's a lot of dive to get in. That's definitely better than this morning.
Yeah, it was a much better start than earlier on. Got a good jump out of the board there. Just needs that little bit more speed in the somersault to give him more time on the end to get the line up and the clean rip.
But hopefully he'll be happy with that improvement. Angus from Edinburgh with a reverse 2.5 somersaults tuck. When this dive's done well, I always find it so beautiful to watch.
Absolutely, it's one of my favourites to watch on 10 metre. Wasn't one of my favourites to do.
Yeah, it is scary to do. Got so much time when you come out of that tuck shape, as you can see there from Angus. Kicks his feet out very strong, just drifts slightly over from vertical, so we don't see quite the rip that he is capable of, but still scores of 7s from the judges.
Good composure from Angus as well to bounce back from a really difficult round 3 and come back with a strong dive, even though we know he can do it better, but that's a strong dive for the situation.
Yep, so we just mentioned before, this is probably the biggest risk for Kyle's list, although the lower of his last 3 degree of difficulties, back 3.5 somersaults tuck.
Just have a look at this jump, let's see how high he goes on this start.
That's more like it. Still a little bit hesitant on the way out. Needs to hold those tummy muscles tight when he kicks out. Doesn't get that quite that arch.
You can see the legs a little bit apart as well. It means he's not fully tight. He kicks maybe a little bit tighter. He stops the rotation a little bit more sharply, and he'll have a better chance of getting a good rip on the end.
Yeah, he got 29 points on that this morning, though, so
significant improvement.
30-point increase. I'm still sure he would preferably get a little bit more on that dive, but
definitely.
He's definitely improved from this morning. Ben, easier dive in his list, forward 3.5 somersaults pike. Can't currently see him with a running approach for this dive. Very nice, Ben. Love his leg form, Ben.
Yeah, it was a really nice dive in the air, just missing that last little element, the rip. Looks like he didn't quite get his hands.
Yeah. Yeah, usually, or in the past, Ben's rip's probably been one of the most impressive parts of the dive. His form at the moment is, for me, very impressive. So Ewan only a point behind Noah now. In with 3.5 somersaults tuck. Another great dive from Ewan.
Very good, very good, very good.
So much time. I mean, he was a little bit backed off away from the board there.
Yeah, I thought so too.
He still finished the dive at 5 meters up in the air. So 8, 8.5 for the judges to count. Of course, our top 2 and bottom 2 scores get taken off. Huge 78 points for him, up to 295.
He's putting down the marker for Noah.
Yeah, Noah finishes up with a 3.6, sorry, a 3.7 on his forward 4.5 somersaults tuck. This one's a 3.6, so very big dive.
Beautiful.
And back on form for Noah.
Again, the proficiency in his twisting is really impressive. So smooth through the twist shapes, no break in leg form, and then a great entry.
Yeah, great diving for Noah. 303 after 4 dives. Obviously, got a lot of work to do to, well, I think it's going to be nigh on impossible for him to get that 530 score, but still going to be on for a very good score. Matthew Dixon won this event with 503 points a couple of years ago.
I think it's still just about possible for him to get 530. He has to get straight 10s on both of the last dives, though. So, I mean, I'm here for it. I'd love to see it.
I'd love to see it.
We haven't had a 10 yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
Come on,
Anthony Harding still currently with our highest scoring dive of the weekend with his 100-point front 4.5 on 3 metre. So we've got the chance to maybe see more than that with some front 4.5s upcoming. I'm sure Anthony will be hoping that he keeps that top spot.
Absolutely.
Another steady dive from Maxwell. Just missed that entry, but much more like it from him. Looks very confident at that kick out. Just maybe need to reach those arms back a little bit more behind his ears just to keep that splash down.
With good control, good awareness, really impressive diving, even though the last little element isn't quite there. But as you mentioned earlier with the whole COVID situation that he had, you know, he can work himself back into a good place very soon.
Yeah, slight improvement on this morning as well. 47 points this time out. Angus Meunier, inward 3.5, some sorts tuck. 3.2 this one.
Whoa,
very nice
good
dive.
Nice from Angus. Maybe dropped a touch short. However, it's a really confident come out and line up. A little bit more power in the start, and he gives himself a little bit more room on the end to get a good rip.
Yeah, that's the hardest dive in this list, but didn't make it look like it. Very nice. 7, 7, 6.5 to count from the judges. Now then, here's the chance to get towards those 100 points. Got 96.2 on this morning. If he can show the rip entry that we've already seen on his inward 3.5, going to be up and around those marks. I don't think it's going to be quite up in the 96 marks, but it's going to be high. Another great rip.
It looked like he just had a little bit too long of a look at the water before he started to line up there, and that just carried it over. He just needs to stop that rotation a touch sooner, but still, landing on your back and getting great hands like that, it's such an impressive skill.
I don't think he'd grumble too much at 83 points.
No.
Puts him on to 3-2-1, so gives him every chance of going well over 400, which is normally a landmark score for some of the divers.
And to go 400 with an arm stand somersault as well, that'd be really impressive.
Yeah.
I think if he gets his arm stand twist back, then he's flying. Wow.
Nice dive from Ben, back 3.5 somersaults tuck.
Beautiful dive.
Yeah, that's more like the hands we're used to seeing from him.
Very good.
Slightly short from vertical, but just keeps that water down really well. So we're going to see the same dive, this time in the pike position from Ewan. So we jump up to a 3.6 degree of difficulty, extra 0.3.
It's a real big dive for a young man.
Yeah, 16 years old doing this dive is already very impressive. And I have seen him do it many times in training really well over the weekend. So let's hope to see one of those.
Just sat back a little bit too much into that start. need to drive those hips up and over your head a little bit more before you get into your shape.
Yeah, he gets into a great pike shape and spins really well in it, but not quite as much hip extension as we've seen him do in training. So just means it slows down a little bit towards the end. He's landed short vertical, and that's why the judges have penalised him quite heavily there.
But again, a couple of opportunities to do it in competition, get that experience. So when he goes to his next junior competition, bringing out a dive like that, it's going to be impressive.
Of course, Junior Europeans, Junior Worlds coming up for the juniors this year.
Oh,
2 slight drops in the final for Noah. Just went a little bit loose in his stomach when he kicked out there, so lost a bit of tension. Yeah, we mentioned for the juniors, the Europeans and the Worlds are coming up this year, so lots of opportunity for them to get a bit of a name for themselves internationally. And Ewan Lee will be now moving up to the Group A. He was a bronze medalist at the Junior Europeans last year. Won the elites in the Group B as well, so he will move up to the second age group and have an opportunity to show these dives off there. So we saw our leaderboard there. Noah Williams still at the top of the rankings. Only 4 points behind him, Ben Cutmore, 3.55. And then Ewan in third place, 3.43. So it's still to play for the medals. Kyle's currently 22 points behind Ewan. Last dive for Maxwell is a back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists.
Kyle has a slight DD advantage as well going to the last round above Ewan, so maybe you can put that to use to try and claw back some of these points.
It's been more like it from Maxwell. Like you said, for a big lad up on the platform, hard to get all these dives in. Long limbs, spinning around in those pike shapes, don't quite get the same rotational speed as some of the smaller divers.
That being said, it's funny, I have always found it easier to spin in a pike shape than a tuck shape though, so it's definitely possible. He just needs to work on his flexibility, work on the way he goes about it, and that spin speed can definitely increase very easily.
Angus Meunier with his final dive. Forward 3.5 somersaults pike. Another good dive from Angus to finish.
A great dive for him to finish on. That'll hopefully give him a little bit of confidence going into his next competition. He'll have more chances to try and hit his Commonwealth target score, and he'll take the lessons from this event and hopefully come back a little bit stronger next time.
Yep, 7.5 to count for Angus. So then, fight for the medals. Kyle with a back 2.5 somersaults with 2.5 twists. 3.6 degree of difficulty, so as you mentioned, he has got a slight advantage on Ewan with his 3.4 reverse 3.5.
This has to be big in order to put a bit of pressure on Ewan, so I'm sure Kyle will be looking to end his list in a really good position.
Oh, and it's going to be big.
That's nice.
It's going to be big. That was beautiful. Great rip entry again from Kyle. See the judges' scores coming up here. Couple of 9s in there, don't count. 8.5s there, 91.8. Puts him over that 400 mark, which we said with his arm stand forward somersault at the start is a very good score for Kyle. Ben finishes up his list with a back 2.5 somersaults, 1.5 twists. 3.2. Currently in second place. Needs 57.25 to equal Kyle's score, which he will definitely get with that.
What a nice finish as well from Ben. Everyone's bringing out some good dives to finish on in this competition, and
oh, we have a 9.5.
he'll
we
be really
haven't managed
happy
a
with
10
that.
yet. Oh, we do have a 9.5 in there. Again, it doesn't count. We've got a 9 in there to count. 83.2 points. Puts him into first position currently with 439. So a great score there from Ben.
Really good score from Ben. I wonder if that's close to his personal best. We'll ask him later.
Yeah, 439 would have got him a medal at the Commonwealth Games 4 years ago. So
It's not bad, that.
that is a good indication that it's a good score. Oh, Ewan leaves the opportunity for Kyle to take that bronze medal.
And that's maybe what a little bit of pressure does to you, you know? You can be coming from behind, put a bit of pressure on the other diver, and
being
they
so
can make a small mistake
consistent
like
as
that.
well. Yeah, it's a real shame for Ewan because he has shown some really promising stuff, but
Still a fantastic performance from him. Really good,
yeah,
really impressive.
absolutely, and really positive for the future for him as well because he's already doing these dives on 10 metre and looking very comfortable with them. Now
Right,
I'll finish up the competition with his
One more chance for a
4.5.
10.
Ooh, it's nice.
I'd
It's
go
nice.
with
I
it.
don't think we're going to get any 10s.
I'd
but
go
it's
with
very
it.
nice. Just a little bit splashy on the end for Noah compared with his usual rips. But another beautiful dive, 448.5. Pips Ben by 9.5 points to take the gold. Got quite up to his prelim standard of 530, but gave himself a lot of work to do to keep up with that. So there are our final rankings. Seeing Kyle just snuck ahead of Ewan in that last round to take the bronze medal. Ewan in 4th, Angus 5th, Maxwell in 6th. So some great diving from the boys, the men's platform. I believe we have got the medal ceremonies coming up very shortly, but we will also have Noah's highlights coming up. So if you want to watch a few replays of his dives, they will be coming up very shortly. And here we are.
Really solid start to Noah's list. Beautiful dive. Touch over, but so much potential in that one.
Yeah, like you said, 2.5, 2.5 makes it look easy. That's in with 3.5 as well.
Now this just fell away from the board a tiny little bit too much, which is why it drops so heavily on the ends. Maybe a little bit of fatigue coming in from the week. You know, it's a difficult week of training at Nationals, no matter what. But he backed it up with a really nice armstand twist.
Yeah, from 12 dives today, Noah, I think 10 of them he would class as a hit.
Absolutely.
So, a real good percentage there. There's not many divers that can go through a prelim and a final with no drops whatsoever.
And a great dive to finish on.
Yeah, great dive at 3.7 there with his forward 4.5 to finish on.
So Noah's got some exciting work to do in terms of synchro with Matty, and you know, he's got a great event to build on now.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see how him and Matty get on. I think they have done synchro in the past, I believe, at a World Series event. So they train together in London and will obviously know each other very well too. So I'm sure we'll see some very good stuff. Never know, we might see Tom coming back soon as well. We're still unsure what the situation is with him. He's obviously having a little bit of a break and figuring out what he wants to do next, which understandably after the year he's had, I think he deserves it.
He absolutely deserves it. We would love to see Tom back in diving though. He brings that star quality and that class to every event that he does, and it's always a pleasure to watch. But yeah, as you say, he certainly deserves his break right now. But we'll see what he does next.
So we're just waiting for the medalists to come out. We will go through the medal presentations. In the meantime, I think we're going to say thank you very much and goodbye to Yona. Thanks for joining us in the commentary box. I've enjoyed having you up with me.
Thanks very much, guys. I hope you've enjoyed the commentary and our chats. It's been a pleasure to be up here and watch the diving from a different perspective to what I'm used to. But it's been a good week of competitions. It really has.
It has, yeah, absolutely. First one for a couple of years, of course, with the British National Championships cancelled with COVID last year. So we've had some great diving, of course. We've got a big year ahead of us for a lot of these divers. So good to get the cobwebs off and see some great diving throughout the year.
And it's great to see the depth growing in British diving. You know, every competition is competitive. It's not just one runaway winner every single time.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
been competitive, so that's really impressive to see. And that's just going to get stronger and stronger as the year goes on, as we get into the years following. So when it comes around to Paris 2024, there's going to be some exciting diving events, so stick around.
You mentioned the competitiveness, and we've still got a lot of divers that have been missing at this event through injury and stuff like that. So, you know, adding their names to the list as well, it really is a tough field for all of our divers. So It's exciting as well for us to watch.
You don't fancy a comeback now?
I don't think I could compete anymore, mate. There's too many good divers on the Springboard now.
We need to get the old boys back for one last run out.
Yeah.
The old age group. That'd be good banter. See you, Freddie, Josh, Ryan.
Yeah, that'd be. So we've got a lovely picture, haven't we, of us all grown up, obviously exactly the same age group competing. So I'll treasure that one for a while.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll let you get off, Fiona. I know you've got a long journey up north now. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back very shortly with the medal presentations.
Appreciate it. Take care, guys. Bye.
On to our final medals for our weekend. Kicking us off, the women's 3-metre event. Saw some great diving throughout the day from these girls. Some promising young divers coming through as well. Our senior medalist, bronze medal, Yasmin Harper from City of Sheffield Diving. Very happy to see her on the podium. Our silver medalist from Luton Diving Club, Amy Rollinson. Been very impressive this weekend. A real breakthrough for her on this stage. She's been doing really well in the junior events. First time she's really shown what she's made of in the senior nationals, so that's great to see. Taking a silver medal is a great achievement for her. And our gold medalist, Grace Reed, of course, very experienced now, done this event multiple times and knows exactly what it takes to get that gold medal. So there you have our women's 3-metre medalists. We've also got our junior medalists. Our bronze medal in the junior event goes to Callie Eagleston from City of Leeds Diving. Some very, very good diving from her this weekend. Speaking to Jack in the commentary, saying she's been putting some new dives in there, so great to see her performing those at a great standard. Silver medalist from Dive London is Deshaun Bent Ashmelt. Another very strong young diver doing those top dives very easily. So she's only going to get better. And we've already seen this lady on the podium for the senior event. But taking the gold in the junior event is Amy Rollinson from Luton Diving Club. So there you have your junior medalists. I'm sure they're smiling very largely under those masks. Our 10-metre platform boys out for their medals. Our last medalist of the event this weekend. So a good return to Kyle to this competition, taking the bronze medal. Still early in his training. Had a 6-month internship at JP Morgan in his time off through injury, or his time off from diving. So now good to see him back. Silver medalist, also from London, Becky Cutmore. These boys all look like they get along so well, which is great to see. Makes the competitions much more enjoyable. And to complete the London podium, Noah Williams taking the gold medal. Scored a massive 5:30 this morning in the prelim. 4:48.5 in the final, so not quite up to that prelim standard, but that was a personal best for him as well, so they've done some doing to get all the way up there.
Ladies and gentlemen, your senior men's medalists.
So there you have our medalists of the senior competition. The last medal presentation of the weekend sees Maxwell Spencer take the silver medal for the junior event. Mentioned his difficult preparation with COVID just a few weeks ago. So good to see him at this event. And Ewan McCabe taking the gold medal for the junior event. He's been very impressive this weekend. Showing a lot of promise, and look forward to seeing what he's got to offer in the upcoming years.
Ladies and gentlemen, your junior men's platform medalists.
So there we have it. That's the weekend finished. I hope you've enjoyed some great diving. I hope you've enjoyed the live stream and the commentary from myself, Jack Haslam, and some great guests that we've had at the competition. We've seen some great diving this weekend, some great scores on display, and look forward to a great year of competing. Some big competitions up and coming. World Championships, Europeans, and of course the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham this year, so plenty of opportunity for our divers to get some medals throughout the year. So it's goodbye from me. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Attention, please. Here's something I bet you didn't know. Not all supplements are created equal. At Healthspan, our omega-3 oil is sustainably sourced from the South Pacific Ocean. We find our turmeric on the southern slopes of India, and our cod liver oil comes from the cold, crisp seas of Greenland. We work hard to seek out the best ingredients for all our supplements, because that's the Healthspan way. We're healthspan.co.uk. Vitamins and supplements in-store or direct to your door.
SIM-only plans? There are always so many tempting options. So you jump headfirst into a long contract, which keeps you locked in for 12 months.
Somebody let me out!
At Labara, we offer great value plans and total flexibility. You can get 10 gigs of data, unlimited UK minutes and texts, and 100 international minutes for just £10 a month. And you can change or cancel anytime.
Now I feel free.
Buy now at labara.co.uk.